Howdy, welcome back to the channel. This is Matthew Pizgatti. Before we dive into what the charts look like for DRIP and what that means to me and how I interpret it, I'd like to remind you that this video is exactly that, and all of these videos that I make all of the content is nothing but my completely unexpert opinion. I have traded stocks before, I have traded crypto before, but I am honestly not that great in math and overall not an expert on DRIP or crypto. This is just my opinion based on the data that I see and not financial advice in any way, shape, or form, but I can tell you what I'm doing and document my journey along the way. I'm trying to make more passive income for myself, but I may lose it all on one of these crazy games. Who knows? That's also the importance of diversification, a video that I have also made some content on just to remind you. I'll put a little card link above right at this moment. And let's go ahead and dive into these charts, knowing that this does not count as only doing your own research. There are so many other ways to research. There are the white papers for these various protocols. There are the Telegram chats where you can get a consensus from other people. And last but not least, you can do your own research into crypto tokens in general as a whole, and you can apply that knowledge, I should say, to these charts, and do your own research that way. Don't just take my word. But without further ado, here's what I am thinking when I look at these charts. So one other caveat, and I swear we're diving in here. I am invested in DRIP in the faucet. I don't actually have the BREAP tokens, this BR34P. I don't actually hold those, and I need to get some so that I can build a team. It says one team. I didn't actually probably get anything from that because you have to hold these tokens to receive anything. I'm grateful to whoever signed up under me. But that being said, I am not shilling the faucet or anything or the drip ecosystem for referrals, at least not the faucet, because I actually don't receive anything. You should find someone else for a drip buddy if you're looking to invest. On the animal farm garden side, just for full disclosure, I do get some referral rewards back if you were to use my referral key from the garden, from the animal farm. That is in the description, of course, but a lot of you are already invested. So my point was that I'm not shilling this to get extra referrals or something. I'm just giving you my opinion on where we are. So diving in the chart. The first thing I like to look at here is the 5-minute or 15-minute. And what I like about that is I was really focusing on this 55 area where a lot of people thought we were going to have some support. The 15 minutes a little easier to see. And you can see that there is a huge increase versus what there were or how it was going earlier in the month of buys. So it still didn't outpace the sells for that time period, but for that day, I think it almost did. You can see there's a lot more buys, and that means that there's enough people who were not only thinking that was a support or a floor, but they wanted to buy back in and ride this up. So that's good. That's bullish. That's positive. There's still some here. Dollar cost averaging on the way down. Those people are smart if they are bullish on DRIP. You can see some down here. So all that is cool. Let's zoom out to something like a 12-hour or the day. And I want to show you something else. I do have this already marked, and I showed this in a recent video just a moment ago, which you could also go watch. I forget the title of it at the moment, however, so I will try to link that card if I think about it at this point. But here's something I wanted to point out, was that a lot of people thought that the 55 mark where we're going to see some type of support or support level there. And I think it's because they were looking at these most recent bounces that were in December and this one in January. Yeah, that's about 55. I don't see those as big support levels. As I see why people thought that. I mean, I think we were kind of just bouncing, and then a sell-off. People thought that was a peak, and then another huge bounce up to the all-time high. But if you look at these 55 areas, Where's the start of this 55? This is really only from, it's just such short time periods. It stayed there around January 9th to, maybe the 11th, 12th. So what is that? I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days, something like that. And then here's another time we were at around that area, 55. We're at 19th of December till about maybe like the 21st, 22nd. So we're getting not that many days. But when we come down to these lower ranges, I mean, you might could see something here around this, like this is a pretty long time period on the 27s, right? December 1st to maybe the 8th. I mean, that's pretty good. But I think these lower ranges are really where it shines, where I'm seeing these longer periods. Because look at this. This is about 19.7, and over here we're at 20. So that 20 to high 19 range, that's from the 6th of November all the way to 23rd of November. We have this one here, which is 14. I don't know, we'll call it like 18 to 14. I mean, that big range was from the 6th of October to the 3rd of November, so almost a month there. And I thought we had some more in the 20 ranges. I've seen a lot of support in 20. That was in the 19-20 range was the main one I saw. Because that was the 31st of August to 23rd. That's not too huge. But so even the ones that are shorter time periods in the 20s, there's more of them. And it just seems like a much greater support area there if we zoom out. Because you could really count this as like an outlier, this dip. So really from about 1250 up to around 26, that whole range, when you zoom out and look at these charts historically in a longer time frame, which is what we really need to be doing. If we're talking about a long-term project, and I keep trying to explain this to people about the drip garden as well, if you're talking about a long-term project and you're bullish on it and you like all the things coming down the pipeline, you like the partnerships that the developer is announcing, and that makes you positive for the ecosystem as a whole, you're investing for a longer time period. You're not looking to get rich in 1 month, although we'd all love that. I don't know that this is the program for that. Even those bigger whales who got in earlier, and we call them whales now after months and months of compounding, they were still in the system for 10 months, 9, 10, 11 months, and there's some that are still going to be maxing out, which and they will be at least through April or May. It looks like some of those big wallets were maxing out. A lot of people say end of April, like April 22nd, is when we might see a really good upswing because of that, because of those, at least partially because of those wallets capping out. And they have other wallets running, of course, but they're not maxing out at that time. We're talking about the long-term longevity of this project. That is a big thing to keep in mind. We don't need to be averaging in the garden and saying, oh, there's a 4% decrease every day for the last 2 weeks or the last month. Well, of course there is, because there's been a dip that whole time in the drip price. So that just makes sense to me. But I think we see a lot of support here. I think this is the most realistic support level. And if you're bullish on drip, if you're bullish in the system, this is probably where we'll see it. So we're going to get this low. I mean, I understand people selling off. I understand all that. You have to do what you have to do for your funds, what makes the most sense to you. But if you're in this and you believe in it as a long-term project, I think somewhere around there would be very tempting, and we're going to see a lot more people come in. Let's take a look at the Dune analytics here as well. There's a lot of sells. No doubt about it, there's a lot of sells. There's more sells than buys this whole little period right here from the 8th to the 15th. But there are a lot of buys. You can see on that 50, this is probably around that day where it's 55. There were some spikes where the buys were outpacing. So there are people like ready and willing that want to pump back in and get this heading back up again. But to do that, it takes a lot of that sentiment. And it's hard to get, the mob mentality, which is like some of the tokenomics, some of the game theory. It's hard to get a whole crowd rallied back up around a project when they've seen things, because so many went to the Piggy Bank. Remember, that was one of the causes for the dip as well. So many were pulling their money out of DRIP. They're really excited about the animal farm, the piggy bank. That still didn't really get launched because he's launching a version 2 now due to a slight issue with some bots, supposedly. People got in way early and they had a huge portion of the piglets. It wasn't set up correctly the first time. He's redoing it. So that's still not really launched. So that kind of pushed us out. It pushes out the developer's timeline for when he's going to be working on these partnerships and getting those new things in place that we're all hoping are coming, because, that is part of what makes us so bullish in the system for the long term. So we still haven't really recovered back from that, from people going to the animal farm, and I hope that we do see that. But look, we're at almost 7,000 wallets, new accounts this month. That we had 23,000 last month. And you can see this huge upswing, and then there was a dip in the DRIP price, and so I think that's why we're seeing less, and people going to the animal farm, and other protocols starting up. Even myself, I threw more money into a few others like Seifu and EMP. So even with my smaller amount that I'm investing, I'm not immune from that, because I want to diversify. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, and I don't know which one is going to be the biggest money maker, so I get throwing the money around. But all of that contributes to my point that if we're talking about crowds, if we're talking about people as a whole, I still see more drip going into the faucet. I still see more total players every single month. Even if this isn't even the end of this month yet, and we're at almost 7,000. So I see that increasing. I do see a lot of claims, and I'm seeing more claims than deposits, but I think that makes sense with the downward trend. So I'm not, crying about that. I'm not freaking out about it, but I've also not invested more than I can afford to lose, and I hope that's everybody. I hope that's everybody in the system. But so really, that's what I think the charts show. I think they are bullish, and that may be me being overly optimistic about a system because I already have a little money in there, but I really don't have that much. I mean, I bought in at the peak at the faucet, and that was about 130. I don't think I have more than a couple hundred in the garden, so maybe 300, 350 or so. I don't know. That's about as much as I have in here. I'm going to keep compounding in the garden because these plants just rapidly compound, and I want to be, somewhere way down here by the time this comes back up. And if it swings back up, that means my estimate's going to be back up here. That means my decay is going to slightly reverse and come back down to where it should be. And then you see me in 60 days making, $260 or something that I can pull out on the weekend. That's just extra play money. And, depending on how the compounding goes, depending on how the decay goes, I can pull out 600 a month. I mean, in a weekend, and then compound the rest of the week. So, that's just, I'm bullish on both sides, the faucet and the garden, and I think it's going to swing back up. But that's my opinion, and it may not. Remember, that's really what we all have to keep in mind, is that it may not. I could be completely wrong, and this could just bottom out, and the whole system, everyone could get scared and leave and panic sell and not be a part of it, and that's just a part of the DeFi crypto space. I can't control what other people do, but I know that when it hits that 20, all I can tell you is what I'm going to do. If this continues on this trend and we get some support anywhere down in this range, I'm buying, and I know a lot of people will be buying. And even those people who were the big whales stun anybody else, even though he's putting some extra money in other things like that Splassive and other tokens, that's just diversification. That's just smart. Nothing against them, even though I think Splassive is a awful ripoff and I won't give them any money. But I respect it. I respect trying to diversify and get funds everywhere you can. But I know all those people who have been in this from the beginning, those OG drippers, as we might want to call them, they're going to buy in at 20. I know they are. And they're going to put big bags in there. And I don't see it going any other way. These things happen in cycles. It's cyclical. And it's just going to bump up. It's just going to hit that 20 and then explode. That's my prediction. If I'm wrong, come back to this video, please, and yell at me. But again, remember, this is just my opinion. Don't follow it. I hope you're not, following me like I'm making stock suggestions and trades for you, because that is not the purpose of this channel. This is just me documenting. But if my prediction's wrong, it's wrong. But that's what I think's going to happen, and I'm excited. Like I keep saying, selfishly, I want it to go down there to those lower support levels. So not only because I'm waiting on my taxes back from our incredibly slow, incompetent government, but when I get some of that back, this is where part of it's going, and I want DRIP to be as low as possible when I throw that in. So I'm going to invest in DRIP. I'm going to invest in EMP. I'm going to spread it around, diversify. But that's the summary. That's where I think DRIP is going. I think that's what the chart shows. So that's enough of me rambling on about DRIP and how confident I am in its future. I want to thank you guys for watching as always. Thanks for the likes, subscribes. I hope the content is helpful or beneficial in some way, that you get some value out of me documenting this. Fail or epic win. We will see which way we go over the next year here. It's exciting. I hope I build a huge amount of passive income and invest in the right things, but you never know. We all make bad gambles sometimes. Luck of the draw at times, and just getting in at the right time can be really important, which is what I'm trying to do here. I think that first DRIP I invested was at the all-time high, and I didn't know that at the time. I was just excited to get in and start compounding, but I'm a little older, a little wiser 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, and I think we've learned from that. So yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. Keep commenting, good or bad, let me know, and I will see you on the next video, which I hope to be soon. Have a good one.